After the fall of the First Age, mankind sought to write their own story amidst the broken cosmos. They rose high and founded great nations, empires that crushed millions, grand cities that floated high in the sky amongst the clouds, vast ocean kingdoms that made the deep teem with life, while ordinary men and women with strong will overcame great suffering to become heroes. In this triumphant age, life in the world of Iru had reached its zenith. The City of Faces, the White Tower, and the scholars of Genshin created technology and magic so beautiful that even the gods were amazed. The Northern Frost vampires connived with dark forces older than time with dark sorcery. Werewolves of the plains battled and hardened themselves in great tournaments of strength, and the greatest heroes of the age led the world against the dark forces of the blasphemer. Alistair the Dragon, who slew the great father of dragons, Ancalagon, and for 30 years consumed his flesh to gain his immense power. Nzinga the Strong, who battled the great basilisks of the Valyrian forest and the warriors of the Dragon Empire. Axel the Axe, who with the axe of an ancient god slew a mighty boar that roamed the highlands and trampled towns and villages with one foot. Abund the Hammer, who broke the skulls of dark gods and demons alike with a mighty hammer made by the hands of the eight-armed goddess, Kanifa. Akna the Beautiful, who united the warring tribes of Anahuaca with a great army of warriors riding great forest elks. And finally, Amonsak the Kind, who achieved enlightenment, convened with the spirit of the mad prophet, and left his spirit in the world to guide mortals during the dark times that lay before the final battle. Opposite to them were the fallen, great demigods like the grand heroes who wielded great power and influence, but chose the side of the blasphemer himself. Sayax the Vengeful, Alice the Malevolent, Lilith the Whore, Azazel the Golden Lion, and Ieyasu the Fiend. Through the chaos and grandness of the world, mortals of all kinds fought to exert control, some through intellect, faith, but most through violence. Their actions would spin the Second Age to its final, destructive end.
Eru was a realm of hope, darkened. The celestial pathways that connected it to many other worlds still existed, but most were damaged, and very few were still fully operational. Despite this, Eru still reached towards the heavens, hoping to equal it in its might. Through conquest and the search for truth, the world fought to make its mark on the cosmos. The Aryan Empire and the Kyokujitsu Kingdom marched throughout the southeastern supercontinent, trampling nations into dust and bringing all to their chains of bondage and obedience. The Northern Frost Empire, ruled by the vampires, was in eternal battle with the werewolves of the Savannah Plains. The central cities flourished with exquisite art, the most excellent wine and drugs, and courtesans who pleasured gods. The White Tower, home to great scholars and power, ruled the cities with wisdom while housing rare books of magic dating back to the First Age. The kingdom of Ngasu, the sister kingdoms, and the Thorians fought endlessly with the dragon empires. And when the Thorians were not trading with dwarves or sea peoples, they were hacking their stories into horrid memory with bloody axes and hammers. As they raided across the northern borders of the continent, the wheel turned and the fates of all spun towards a climactic end that would shatter the world forever. Throughout this age, war and conquest were as numerous as the stars themselves. When one conflict ended, 3 more sprouted. The world of Iru had a deep connection with the gods and the angels, as well as with the dark gods, the demons, and the blasphemer. Seeking divine greatness, many sought to reunite the world and the cosmos as they had been in the First Age, some by conquest, others by intellect, and others by peace and the search for wisdom. In these endeavors, conflicts abounded,
and tragedies littered the lands, shaping the world, which in turn would influence the people of the next age.
As the war between the followers of the Imperial Light and the followers of the Fallen Darkness continued to rage on, 3 incidents culminated in the Blasphemers' return. In the early years of the age, the vampires of the Northern Frosts unleashed a dark god upon the world through the sorcerer leader Alameth the Bane. With its power, they slaughtered through the wolf clans. The wolves united and called on their allies, 2 of which were Alistair the Dragon and Azel the Axe. The vampires pressed forward in their conquests, with Azazel serving as Alameth's advisor. They fought for years. Atrocities were committed on both sides, and the vampires would have won if it weren't for one thing. The dark god made them strong, but it was at the cost of their own strength. It feasted on their souls, and eventually the wisest amongst them noticed. They rebelled against their leader, Alameth the Bane, and killed him. The vampires surrendered, and the war ended. They lost vast territories, and their power dwindled. The dark god was unleashed into the world. It spread its presence far and wide across the globe, sowing more conflict in hopes of bringing back the blasphemer. The dark god traveled deep into the south, where he aided the second son of the Krishna clan, Urjatha the Snake. Urjatha killed his brother and stole his kingdom. He then founded a warrior religion, preaching that the world would be united under their banner, and soon began his endless conquests. He would become the founder of the Aryan Empire. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, the Draconian Empire sought to extend itself both southward and northward. In the south, it fought the kingdom of Ngasu and the sister kingdoms. In the north, it fought the Taurian kingdoms. Fire and iron clashed. A new path was molded, and blood ran like the rivers. The worst was yet to come. Following the war with the vampires, the mages of the City of Faces realized the incredible power of Amon. To counter this, they decided that opening the celestial pathways was their best chance. In doing so, they would have a direct connection to the gods, as they did in the first age, and with their help, they would have a better chance at winning. The project would be the greatest they had undertaken and would require the power of the best minds and mages in the world. With the help of the scholars of Genshin and the high mages of the White Tower, they worked together for years to create a series of great magic cubes, the Behemoth cubes, floating in the sky, the biggest being the size of the moon. With these cubes, they would garner enough energy to reopen the celestial pathways. After decades of grueling work and theory, they finished the project. Hope and morale were high, and many believed that the golden days of the cosmos would return. But it was not to be so. 2 of the fallen, Azazel and Sayax, had worked together and infiltrated this great project. With secret sabotage, they tampered with the cores of the cubic network. When the cubes were launched, they malfunctioned, tearing a hole in time and space, allowing vast hordes of demons to spill from hellish realms. A disaster erupted, and many died in its wake. A piece of Amon's soul was summoned, and the blasphemer's presence in the world grew stronger. The dead mages were not only high-ranking scholars, but they were also high-ranking council and government leaders of their respective cities. Their deaths weakened the bureaucratic powers of the central cities, allowing the forces of the fallen to exploit the power vacuum. With the central cities weakened, Lilith the Whore and Alicent the Malevolent seized control and attained the center of the continent for the side of the fallen. The floating city of Genshin weakened, and the aid they gave to the southeastern kingdoms fell away. This tipped the balance against the kingdoms of Zhong and Qin, and as a result, they fell to the might of the Kyokujitsu kingdom. Ieyasu killed the ruling clan, seized the shogunate, and ruled over a vast empire in the name of the blasphemer. The monarchs of
Beijing
the
is in
rest of the
chaos.
world
We must
had to
send
act.
aid.
Those opposing the fallen met and formed alliances. High-ranking rulers met and partnerships with gods were made. Plans were made, and they amassed a significant force to meet the fallen and their armies at the center of the world to decide its fate. In the great hills of the Earth Goddess, they met. At the breasts of Alitha, there they fought a great battle. The fallen and the grand heroes clashed. At the peak of the struggle, Lilith and Alice joined their powers and cast a great spell to rip a tear in the sky to bring back Amon. The magic of Amonsak, combined with the powers of other high-ranking mages, countered it. The power of the two sides clashed and exploded in a high beam that stabbed through the sky and into the stomach of the cosmos. It pierced through the land and into the ocean, heating it so harshly that sea life was boiled. The blood sky, muddied with blackness, vomited sulfuric fire in all directions of the globe. All life on Eru looked up to see a giant rip in the sky with an enormous bloodshot black eye gazing down at them. Malice and contempt rained from the eye unto the world. 1,000,000 hordes of demons and dark gods flew out and scoured the lands, hungry for flesh and blood. Before Amon could fully enter, the rip was sealed by the counter-magic of Amonsak and the high-ranking mages. Amon was stopped, but at a steep cost. The fallen were defeated and badly wounded. They fled and sealed themselves away, preserving their body and soul, awaiting the day of the final battle. Many of the grand heroes did the same. Azazel was captured and imprisoned deep in the hellish earth. Alistair, given an unusually long life by the blood of Ancalagon, chose to wander the world, waiting for the final battle. The world was scarred and destroyed. Billions died as empires and kingdoms fell, turning into dust in the wind. The demon hordes of the blasphemer ravaged the lands, and the knowledge and advancements of the Second Age faded. The floating city of Genshin fell to the earth. The White Tower was destroyed, and the City of Faces was overtaken by the soul of Ammon and eroded. The gods' power and their imperium over Eru were weakened, and they could no longer speak to the world's mortals as they had before. For the first time, life looked up and prayed to the gods for aid in its despair, and for the first time, the gods were silent. The supercontinent was split apart, and 7 continents formed from its corpse. The forces of Ammon prowled the lands and feasted on human flesh at will, pushing mankind to the brink of extinction. 800 years would pass before new heroes and saints, blessed by the gods, rose to forge new nations and kingdoms across the world and fight the demons. The Second Age had burned with glory and promise, but through the fire of arrogance was burnt and consumed. The Third Age was born from its ashes, a time of ants, where the world is broken, smaller, and ignorant. Even so, it would be the deeds of this age that would decide the fate of existence.